So today we are going to discuss Indian philosophy, right? How many of you know that why do we call Indian philosophy and Western philosophy? We don't say, see, geography is geographical, so obviously we can say Indian geography, Western geography or American geography. But you don't say Indian biology, Indian science. Generally science is science and biology is biology. You do not make any demarcation between the two. दोनों के बीच में भेद नहीं करते आप, right? But have you ever pondered over why do we call it Indian philosophy and Western philosophy? These two divisions are there, Indian and Western. See, any knowledge can have certain distinctive features, okay? So Indian philosophy also has certain distinctive features that enforced us to think in terms of Indian philosophy and Western philosophy, right? So first of all, before we start Carvaka, we must know why do we call it Indian philosophy and what are its specific features which are not there in Western philosophy, okay? First of all, tell me, what do you mean by philosophy? Generally, if you read any particular book, Western philosophy book, this book or that book, the meaning of philosophy is, because there are two terms involved in that, philo and Sophia. From these two terms, philo means, बताइए, Sophia means knowledge या love? Philo means, Sophia means knowledge, okay, and philo means love. So love for knowledge has been defined as philosophy. But in India, there is a parallel term which is called Darshan. The definition of Darshan is not love for knowledge. Definition of Darshan in India, Indian philosophy or Indian philosophy is love for life lived through knowledge. Love for life, which life? That life which is lived through knowledge. So one is love for knowledge and other is love for life which is lived through knowledge. So in first, knowledge is important, and in Bharatiya philosophy, Bharatiya Darshan, life is important. That makes the difference between the two. And because of that, there are certain features which are not there in Western philosophy, which are very much there in Indian philosophy. The first difference between the two, see, why do I say all these things? In examination they will not ask, I tell you. But in interview or for better understanding of Indian philosophy, it is must to know these differences, okay? So the first difference between Indian philosophy and Western philosophy as a whole is the substance of thought and the substance of consciousness are not same in Indian philosophy, whereas in Western philosophy the substance of thought and substance of consciousness are same. जो सोचता है उसी की वजह से चेतना है पश्चिम में, लेकिन भारतीय दर्शन में जो सोचने वाला कोई और है और चेतना का कारण कोई और है, राइट? माइंड एंड सोल, माइंड एंड कॉन्शियसनेस आर नॉट सेम इन इंडियन फिलॉसफी. The substance of thought and substance of consciousness are different. Generally, the substance of consciousness is defined in terms of soul, self, okay, whether permanent or not. In Buddhism it is not permanent, but self is there. Okay, permanent soul is not there, but soul is there. So except that of Charvak, in all Indian philosophical schools we have this acceptance that consciousness is not same as thought process. The substance of thought, जो सोचता है वह चेतना का कारण नहीं है. पश्चिम के दर्शन में एक फिलोसोफर हुआ डेकार्ट. So Descartes said, I think therefore I am, means my existence is being known by my capacity of thought process. If I can think, that proves my existence. In Indian philosophy, you are not the mind, rather you have a mind. Okay, each one of us is having mind, but this mind is activated by something else which is called consciousness, which is called soul. If that consciousness is not there, mind and body will not be functional. Okay, when we talk about mind, two dominant parts of mind are there. One, rationality, and other, emotions. हमारा माइंड का कुछ, हमारे माइंड का कुछ पार्ट जैसे नियोकॉर्टेक्स इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर रैशनैलिटी, whereas other parts, some of the parts are responsible for emotions. Okay, but without consciousness, neither rationality would be activated nor emotions would be activated. Generally in our life we do not experience pure consciousness. Just as you do not experience pure electricity in your life, you experience either this fan, electricity as fan, electricity as light, electricity as projector, but how many of you experience electricity as such? But without electricity, none of these instruments will work. The same is true in Indian philosophy. The consciousness, you are that, the reason of consciousness, you are that substance because of which consciousness is there. Some philosophers have identified soul and consciousness. Some said that this is accidental quality, as in Nyaya Vaisheshika. Okay. In Western philosophy, wherever they used mind, they have used soul like a synonym. It's same, mind and soul. Here they use soul and mind. They are using as if they are interchangeable terms. Okay, it is not there in Indian philosophy, and this is a major difference between the two. Because of this major difference, I must tell you, meditation is possible in Indian philosophy, not in Western system. Meditation is that condition in which you are witness to your thought process, witness to anything, whatever is happening, asakshi bhav, the term which is used in Indian philosophy. That sakshi bhav is possible when you are not the thought. But if you are the thought, if you are thinking process, if you are the mind, you cannot observe your thought process. So meditation, wherever it is in the world, it has gone from your country, either in the form of Buddhism or in the form of this or that stream of philosophy. Okay. So this sakshi bhav or meditation is not possible in Western tradition, because in the name of meditation, either they are adopting Indian model, but still they find it very difficult to define, because उनकी training तो mind और soul के अलग करने की नहीं हुई है. So their training is, they would say, when you are meditating on, ये grammatically wrong होगा. When you are meditating on का मतलब हो गया you are concentrating on. meditation is not same as concentration, right? So until and unless you know the distinction between consciousness and mind, self and mind, meditation will not be possible, right? So this is a first major difference between the two. Second difference between Western and Indian tradition of philosophy is Western philosophy focuses on specializations because it is a love for knowledge. Love for knowledge, you give a wonderful piece of wonderful stream of knowledge, then you would be considered philosopher, no matter that is applicable in your life or not. There is a possibility that somebody is a feminist philosopher, and that feminist philosopher, in the name of philosophy, he or she might have given wonderful feminist philosophy, but when it comes to his or her own life, he or she becomes anti-feminist. This is very much possible, because for them knowledge is like, if I give wonderful piece of knowledge, it is sufficient to call me a philosopher. हमको आप दार्शनिक कह सकते हैं, फिलोसोफर कह सकते हैं, अगर हमने एक अच्छा वंडरफुल उसमें तर्क शामिल कर दिया, तर्क शामिल कर दिया, सिस्टमैटिक नॉलेज आपको दे दी, तो निश्चित रूप से वो ज्ञान आप दार्शनिक हो गए, राइट? बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू इंडियन फिलॉसफी और दर्शन, here darshan is lived first, spoken later on, written later on. Okay, so you cannot write Vedanta. I'm talking about darshanics, I'm not talking about us. We will study Vedanta, you will understand Vedanta, but don't call yourself Vedantin until and unless it is practiced in your life. So because the focal point in Western philosophy is knowledge, वो उनके लिए ज्ञान सर्वोच्च है. भाई ज्ञान का एक वंडरफुल ज्ञान आपको दे दिया, आप यू जस्ट अप्रिशिएट दैट. लेकिन हमारे लिए, हमारे मतलब भारतीय दर्शन के लिए, दैट नॉलेज इफ इट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर वंडरफुल लाइफ. अच्छे जीवन के लिए ज्ञान की जरूरत है. ज्ञान के लिए ज्ञान नहीं, ज्ञान अच्छे जीवन के लिए जरूरत है. बिकॉज why knowledge is required for this human life? Because human life is having certain potentialities, and human consciousness has reached to the level where from it can reach to higher dimensions. We are born as 50% animals, you can say, not 100%, some potentialities are there, but by our efforts we can become human being. Not only human being, and no proper definition of human being can be given. आप बिल्ली की definition दे सकते हैं, शेर की दे सकते हैं. शेर क्या करता है, बिल्ली क्या करती है, बताइए. बिल्ली क्या पीती है, आप बताइए. बिल्ली क्या पीती है? मिल्क. अच्छा, बिल्ली दूध पीती है, राइट? सो स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड. बट दिस क्वेश्चन कैन नॉट बी आस्क्ड टू ह्यूमन बीइंग. ओके, बिकॉज एनिमल्स हैव इनबिल्ट स्ट्रक्चर. दे कैन नॉट transcend their limitations, they cannot transcend their given certain things. But in case of human being, our windows are open. Yes, some basic structure is there, some, because neocortex, after the development of neocortex, languaging and rationality is our specialization, and rationality works only when there is a freedom of will. जहां तर्क नहीं होगा वहां स्वतंत्रता नहीं होगी, और जहां स्वतंत्रता नहीं होगी वहां बुद्धि कार्य नहीं करेगी, राइट? सो इन इंडियन फिलॉसफी it believes that human being can change his life with the knowledge. If he or she gets proper knowledge, his life can be given right direction, proper direction. We can become human being. We are not human being. There is a one philosophy, existentialism in Western. They say that we are not born as human being. We become human being after we start using our rationality and freedom of will. Okay. So Indian philosophy basically focuses on human life. So those who call themselves Darshanics, they would live that life, and out of life they would write down, this is the knowledge. In one of the speeches of at Chicago, Swami Vivekananda was asked, how can Advait be practical? ये अद्वैत को व्यवहारिक कैसे बनाया जा सकता है? So he replied, Advait was practical first, it was written later on. लिखा बाद में गया, जीवन में उतारा. जो जीवन में अनुभव कर लिया, जो दर्शन उतर गया, दर्शन मतलब जो दृश्यते इति दर्शन, हमने जो जीवन में उतार लिया वो दर्शन है. उसके बाद जो हमने लिखना शुरू किया. तो यहां पर लाइफ इंपॉर्टेंट है, वहां पर नॉलेज इंपॉर्टेंट है. अगर फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी दी जाए तो यहां पर जीवन को पहली प्राथमिकता दी जाएगी और वहां पर ज्ञान को दी जाएगी. इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि यहां ज्ञान नहीं है. यहां ज्ञान उस ज्ञान के लिए है जो जीवन को अच्छा कर सके. उस ज्ञान के लिए नहीं है जो केवल एक वंडरफुल सिस्टम ऑफ नॉलेज वी स्टार्ट अप्रिशिएटिंग, क्या बड़ी बात कह दी है. ओके. सो दिस इज द सेकेंड डिफरेंस. Third difference, as I told you, that Western philosophy focuses on specializations. तो जब मेटाफिजिशियंस अलग होंगे उनके यहां, ethical philosophers अलग होंगे. तो ethical philosopher, for example, if Peter Singer has given animal ethics, you would not find any metaphysics given by him. So metaphysicians would be different, ethical philosophers would be different, linguistic philosophers would be different, Chomsky and other Russell and Wittgenstein. Okay, they will not give metaphysics. Metaphysics is meaningless, they would say. Okay, but in Indian philosophy, the integrated nature of knowledge can be understood by the fact that here epistemology, rationality and ethics are all integrated. सब जुड़े हुए. Indian philosophy must be called more psychological in nature. Whatever you behave in life, it cannot be practiced or it cannot be given to you only by preaching, until and unless we change your mindset. Okay, but mindset can be changed by your process of knowledge. आपको ही सीखना पड़ेगा, तब आपका माइंडसेट चेंज होगा, और जब माइंडसेट चेंज होगा तो आपका व्यवहार चेंज होगा. So Indian philosophers most of the times they start with theory of knowledge, which is called epistemology. So all traditional Indian philosophical schools, without any exception, I tell you, they are full package of epistemology, metaphysics and ethics. You enter in the house of Nyaya Vaisheshika, you would find linguistic philosophy, you would find metaphysics, you would find ethics, you would find everything, you would find मॉल की तरह हैं. You enter in Advaita Vedanta school, you would find the same thing there, because they say that everything is integrated. If knowledge is not changed, if mindset is not changed, then your thought process or your behavior cannot be changed. In fact, this is a difference between ethical philosophers and preachers. कभी कभी फिलॉसफी ज़्यादा आप पढ़ लें तो लोग कहेंगे कि बाबाओं जैसी बात करते हैं. सेम हमारे बाबा जी भी यही बातें करते हैं. अभी तो कुंभ का मेला है तो सारे प्रवचन चल रहे हैं, राइट. बट व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एथिक्स एंड preaching? The difference between preaching and ethics is that preaching is given without giving you rational background. कोई रीजन नहीं बताया जाता है। जैसे गुरमीत राम रहीम सिंह जी कहते हैं प्रेम 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 प्रेम, चारों तरफ प्रेम करिए। उनसे पूछे क्यों करिए, कोई रीजन नहीं, राइट। सो इसका मतलब ही नहीं कोई बुरा कह रहे हैं, कोई गलत बात कह रहे हैं, उतना टाइम भी नहीं एक पूरी फिलॉसफी आपको बताए। बट प्रीचिंग is different from that of ethics, because in preaching rational foundation is not built. Rational foundation जब तक आपको नहीं दी जाए तब तक आपका व्यवहार चेंज नहीं होगा। साइकोलॉजी में एक कॉन्सेप्ट है एटीट्यूड। देयर इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एटीट्यूड इन साइकोलॉजी। व्हाट इज दैट कॉन्सेप्ट? देयर इज अ मॉडल, CAB model, cognitive, affective and behavioral. Your behavior is 10%, whatever is visible to others. What is the reason of your behavior? For example, if I ask, क्या नाम है आपका? तपिश, philosophical नाम है आपका। तपिश बताइए आपका व्यवहार कैसा है? Like if I ask you, define your nature, आप अपने व्यवहार को define करिए। You become the judge of your nature. What would be your answer? अच्छा, और ये तो सब अच्छा ही है, खुद ही बता दिया आपने। Okay, whatever is your nature. Some of us might be aggressive also. Then you should prefer IPS in place of IS, right? Why is it so that we get a particular nature? After some time we start, for example, suppose a person of say 40 years of age or 30 years of age makes discrimination in the name of religion, in the name of caste, in the name of gender. वो ऊंच नीच करते हैं, discriminatory behavior है। अब ये behavior आया कहां से? Where from that behavior came? That behavior comes out of deep cognitive reasons. उनकी जो डॉक्ट्रिनेशन हुआ है ना बचपन से कि आपकी कास्ट बड़ी है, कि आपका रिलीजन बड़ा है, कि आपका एरिया बड़ा है, कि आप पैसे वाले हो तो आप बड़े हो, बचपन से कूट कूट कर। सुबह चाय बनाते हैं ना, क्या चीज कूटते हैं? अदरक जैसे कूट कूट कर हमारे माइंड में डाले। चाय में डालते ना ऐसे करके, ऐसे नहीं डालते। घर वाले, सोसाइटी, अदरक जैसे कूट के डाली जाती है, वैसे कूट के जिससे अच्छे से घुल जाए। हमारा डॉक्ट्रिनेशन होता है, इंडॉक्ट्रिनेटेड हम ऑलरेडी हो चुके होते हैं। सो एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट वी डेवलप्ड सर्टेन अफेक्ट इमोशंस। अगर कोई हम किसी के बारे में गलत बोलता रहे कि अरे ये इस परिवार से दूर रहना, ये बड़े गंदे लोग हैं, इन्होंने 4 मर्डर कर दिए, ये ऐसे हैं वैसे हैं, बच्चे को आप बताते रहिए तो बच्चा अपने मन में एक घृणा का भाव पैदा करेगा। he or she will develop certain negative things about that family. Cognitive, आपने cognitive उनका mind change किया। Affective means certain emotions which are developed by that child because of cognitive aspect. And whenever situation comes, suppose anybody comes from that family to your family and he or she tries to meet your child, then the child will show particular behavior, whatever, obviously negative behavior. Now the question is, where from that behavior came here? That came out of cognitive aspect. So preachers would say that we should behave in a good way to our neighbors, to our family members, to our society members. लेकिन जब तक कॉग्निटिव एस्पेक्ट चेंज नहीं होगा, आपकी प्रीचिंग वर्क नहीं करेगी। अवर रिलीजियस मास्टर्स ट्राई टू चेंज द पर्सन बाय डिफरेंट लेवल ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस। द लेवल ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस टू विच अवर स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर्स इन इंडिया, स्पेशली अवर कृष्णा, अवर गुरु नानक देव जी, अवर महावीर जी, अवर बुद्ध जी, एंड so our prophet and our Jesus Christ, all these masters tried to change the person by higher level of, they are not just a preacher. Don't think they are just preachers. I'm not talking about these spiritual masters. I'm talking about those people who do not have spiritual depth, but they preach कि प्रेम करना चाहिए, चारों तरफ हमें उससे वर्क नहीं चलेगा until and unless you change that cognitive aspect. Okay, so Indian philosophy believes in the fact that your ethics must come from deep cognitive changes. आपके माइंड को जब तक हम चेंज नहीं करेंगे ना, आप सरप्राइज्ड होगे। अद्वैत वेदांत तो ये कहता है एथिक्स देने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, एक बार हम आपका माइंड चेंज कर दें अपने आप एथिक्स लौट के आएगी। वॉट एवर यू डू यू वुड बिकम एथिकल। ओके, सो दिस इज द मेजर डिफरेंस बिटवीन वेस्टर्न फिलॉसफी एंड इंडियन फिलॉसफी। ओके, हियर दार्शनिक whosoever gives, he would be all-rounder. All-rounder in the sense, he will give theory of knowledge, he will give theory of reality, that is metaphysics or ontology, he or she will give ethics, okay, by different methods. Okay, so that is why we study Indian philosophy separately. It does not mean, however, it does not mean we should not make a comparison. It does not mean there are no similarities. There are many similarities. Okay, and we must learn from each other. Indian philosophy people must learn from Western philosophy. The methodology which they developed, we need to develop that philosophy. And the depth Indian philosophy developed as far as practical methods are concerned, Westerners must come to India and they should learn. And we are fortunate that we are born in this country, and at the same time we have some knowledge of Western tradition as well. So as far as examination is concerned, civil service examination is concerned, you have to keep certain things in mind before we start. We'll suppose Indian philosophy we are starting, and because if you start with Indian philosophy, you don't have, it's possible they don't have information or any knowledge about Western. But when you come to Western philosophy, you should keep certain concepts of Indian philosophy in mind if there is a possible comparison. If there are similarities, you must write down, you must note down. Okay, that must be kept in mind, because then your answer would be very good. Your answer would be comparative. Your answer would be like, because the demand of UPSC is that first paper's demand is different from that of second paper. In first paper, you are like a commentator. आज मैच चल रहा है ना भारत और इंग्लैंड के बीच में, तो कमेंटेटर कैसे करता है कि विराट कोहली ने हाफ सेंचुरी मार भी दी है, हम आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन देते हैं कि बिकॉज आई एम मतलब विराट कोहली फैन टाइप का इंसान। सो विराट कोहली ने हाफ सेंचुरी मार दी एंड मिस्टर गिल ने भी मार दी, एंड जस्ट कमेंट्री फर्स्ट पेपर, एंड देन सम एनालिसिस लेटर ऑन कि अगर ये ऐसे खेले होते तो ज्यादा अच्छा होता, लेकिन ओवरऑल अच्छा बुरा का फैसला छोटे से में होता। बट सेकेंड पेपर इज like a player, being a player. Their commentary will not work. You have to play. Democracy is how do you live democracy. You take some, obviously certain rules are there, but you have to play as per your capacity, as per your talent. Okay. So first paper would be scoring. If you write your answer with this attitude that some comparative analysis in the end, not like in the main theme, at the end of your answer, if you make comparative analysis and you write exactly that which is being written in or which is being given by this or that philosopher. Okay, so if you have that capacity, first paper is definitely very scoring. Okay, and second paper becomes scoring when you start analyzing from the very first pace. Okay, analysis power is strong. So we have to keep these things in mind. That is why I thought I should tell you the basic difference between Indian philosophy, which is called Darshan, and Western philosophy. Okay, we must learn from each other. There is a one shlok in Vedas, Ano Bhadra Kritvo Yantu Vishwata. Let noble thought come from all directions. If noble thoughts are coming from Western philosophy, we must learn. If noble thoughts are coming from Indian philosophy, we must learn. So the learning aptitude must be there. We should not think that Indian is baseless or Western is baseless. There are different scholars in our country. Some of them would say that Indian philosophy does not have any philosophical content. ये religion ज़्यादा है और philosophy कम है. And some of us would say Western philosophy ही नहीं है. सच तो ये है कि Indian की जो depth है वो Western में मिल नहीं सकती. हमें दोनों extreme से बचना है. Okay, we have to avoid both extremes. Some unique concepts are there in Indian philosophy. If I say, suppose if I say, there is no God in Indian philosophy, how many of you would be surprised? पूरी इंडियन फिलॉसफी में गॉड है ही नहीं. पूरी इंडियन छोड़ दो, भारत में गॉड जैसा कोई शब्द ही नहीं है. Actually, it is the case. The way God has been defined in our Western tradition, the creator, sustainer, preserver, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, no such reality is found in India. Neither in any of the dharma of India, nor in any philosophy of India. Okay? So, parallel terms like Ishwar, Paramatma, ये exactly God की तरह define नहीं किए जा सकते, right? So कुछ specific चीजें हैं. We have to understand those distinctions, that when you start reading Indian philosophy, try to read it with spectacles of Indian philosophy. भारतीय दर्शन के चश्मे से देखने की कोशिश करिए, लेकिन वो चश्मा ऐसा हो थोड़ा थोड़ा बीच में उतार भी लीजिए और फिर उस नजर से भी देख लीजिए. ऐसा नहीं है वेस्टर्न की नजर से देखना है आपको, भारत की नजर से देखना. यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड from Indian philosophical point of view, but at the same time you have to adopt certain critical analysis which is very much valuable in Western philosophy. Okay? So this is like certain things, these are certain things you should keep in mind before we start Indian philosophy. Okay? So when we talk about Indian philosophy syllabus, most of the thinkers, most of the schools are from traditional Indian philosophy. Okay? Except Aurobindo, all are from traditional schools. Like we have Carvaka, we have Jainism, we have Buddhism, we have Samkhya, we have Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Vedanta, Mimamsa. Vedanta 3, 4, 5 schools are there. Okay? As far as various schools are concerned, okay, just call him. Indian philosophy, before we start Charvak, it is must to understand diacritical marks. What are diacritical marks? You can understand easily. 5 लोग नाम बताएंगे अपना. आपका नाम क्या है? आयुषी. ठीक है, आप बताइए. ग्रीन या हिमांगी. प्रणीत. ठीक है, आपका नाम? अनुष. ANUSH. एक और कोई बता दो अपनी इच्छा से, ऑप्शनल है. प्रदीप. या आई करिए. डबल ई इज ग्रामेटिकली रॉन्ग. नाम में डबल ई जो होता है ना, वो व्याकरण की दृष्टि से गलत है. I'll read these names. आयुषी. ठीक है, स्पेलिंग सेम होगी. आयुषी की भी स्पेलिंग सेम है, आयुषी की भी स्पेलिंग सेम. हिमंगी, या हम कह हीमंगी, इसकी स्पेलिंग ठीक ठीक होगी यही, राइट? डोंट टेक इट अदरवाइज. प्राणित. प्राणित, इसकी भी स्पेलिंग सेम होगी. ठीक है. प्रादीप. प्रदीप नहीं करें, प्रादीप, उसकी भी स्पेलिंग सेम होगी. हाउ वुड यू मेक अ डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन दीज टू प्रोनाउंसिएशंस? कैसे करोगे? संस्कृत के शब्द जब रोमन स्क्रिप्ट में लिखे जाएं, restricted to Sanskrit terms only, okay? Because Indian philosophy is written in Sanskrit, so there are certain non-translatable Sanskrit terms. कुछ ऐसे शब्द हैं जो अंग्रेजी भाषा में नहीं किए जा सकते, अंग्रेजी भाषा में जिनका रूपांतरण नहीं किया जा सकता. They are called non-translatable Sanskrit terms. Okay? In 1929, no need to remember this date, no need to remember that conference. Your purpose is different, just to know how to write Sanskrit terms in. So, there is no confusion, because this can be Ayush as well, this can be Anush as well. In place of Anush, it can be Anush as well. Spelling would be same. So, ये हो गई हिमांगी, ये हो गया अनुष. ठीक है, ये हो गया आयुषी. अब आपको खुद बताना है हमने क्यों ये बार लगाया. प्रणीत में हम कुछ नहीं लगा रहे, प्रदीप में यहां लगाएंगे. बताइए, वेयर दिस बार हैव अ पर्टिकुलर वोवेल शुड बी यूज्ड. वेयर एवर देर इज, जो बड़ा स्वर है, elongation is there. Okay, if it is okay, only few things you have to keep in mind. In 1929, to write, certain rules were made by which Sanskrit terms can be written in Roman script. एक अनुष बोला था ना, आप अनुष नाम है ना, तो आपके यू पे लगेगा. दिस इज कॉल्ड बार above द पर्टिकुलर वोवल. ओके, एक तो ये याद रखना है आपको, आ ई ऊ जहां भी बड़ा स्वर होगा, यू हैव टू कीप दीज टर्म्स इन माइंड. ठीक है, स श श. इफ यू आर फ्रॉम उत्तर प्रदेश एंड बिहार, आई एम ऑल्सो फ्रॉम यूपी, तो इसलिए बोल दे रहे हैं सा शा. और इफ यू आर फ्रॉम नेपाल, देन सा होता ही नहीं है, शाप जी होते हैं. ओके, सो स वुड बी रिटन एज सिंपल एज, श वुड बी रिटन एस के ऊपर लगेगा. ठीक है, एंड श वुड बी रिटन एस के नीचे, एच नहीं लगता है. अब ये आपको इसलिए बता रहे हैं क्योंकि अच्छे मार्क्स आए. ओके, स सिंपल एस, श दिस, श दिस. ओके, अंग्रेजी लोग कैसे बोलते हैं च? सासा जी, नॉट चाचा जी. सा. तो ये ऊपर लगा दोगे तो स, चारवाक. राइट, आ ई उ त श श च. आज केवल इन शब्दों को आप माइंड में रखिए वाइल राइटिंग, वाइल स्टडिंग चारवाक. ठीक है, प्लीज राइट डाउन दीज टर्म्स. लिख लिया? कहां गलत है? ठीक है, ठीक है, वो सी के ऊपर ऐसा है नहीं, वो चारवाक का नहीं है, चारवाक है. जहां स्वर बड़ा नहीं हो रहा है वहां पर नहीं करना है. राइट, वेर एवर स्वर इज नॉट elongated, we should not use this bar. Right? चारबाग. This school is different from that of other schools of Indian philosophy because this is the only materialistic school of India. Okay, in fact, before coming to Charbagh, I tell you, historically the oldest school is Samkhya and second oldest is Vaisheshika. ठीक है, इस तरह से होता है. एंड देन इन स्कूल्स डिफरेंट अदर स्कूल्स केम. हिस्टोरिकली Samkhya is the oldest school of India, philosophy of India. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says Arjuna to read Sankhya philosophy. Okay, Sankhya Yoga एक चैप्टर ही है पूरा. But philosophically Philosophically, journey of Indian philosophy is from Charvak to Advait Vedanta. According to Charvak, everything is matter. Matter is the reality. According to Advaita, consciousness is the reality. Everything is consciousness, everything is matter. All other schools are between these two extremes. Nyaya Vaishesika, matter, mind, consciousness. Mimamsa, mind, matter, consciousness. Okay. So, Jaina, Buddhist, Nyaya Vaishesik, Mimamsa, Samkhya Yoga, and other Vedantins. They will come between these two extremes. Charvak on the one hand says everything, whatever you see, the so-called consciousness, the so-called mind, the so-called chetna, so-called emotion, everything is the outcome of matter. Advaita Vedanta on the other hand says whatever you see, this or that, the so-called matter is the outcome of consciousness only. They would say your feelings are the outcome of out of matter only. But Advaita Vedanta says your body is the outcome of consciousness only. Okay? So these two extremes are there. All consciousness, all matter. That is why we do not start with Sankhya philosophy. We start with Charvak. Charvak is not the starting point of Indian philosophical schools, right? This school is different from that of other schools. Other schools were founded upon by systematic founders, right? Systematic founder. So systematic founders were there. Who were founders? Founders were like Jainism, Rishabdev, like Buddhism, Buddha, philosophically, Samkhya, Kapil, Yoga, Patanjali, Vedant, Vadarayan. So we have different founders. Systematic schools were there. Those systematic schools were developed under the bannership of or banner of those founders. But this school is not a systematic school. Whosoever was, they were Charvaks were independent materialistic thinkers. Okay. In Mahabharata also we have such materialistic Charvak comes to Yudhishthir, to Krishna as well. We have a story about that. So Charvaks are only materialistic people. We should not call it a school because it was not a systematic school. Who was a founder? No founder. Right? Different philosophers have given materialistic philosophy. Combinedly we have given them name Charvaks. Okay? So as far as Charvaks are concerned, you would not find this philosopher or that philosopher. Here and there, sometimes Brahaspati, sometimes other Sanjay, others are there, but no need to write those names because this was not a systematic school. In Charbagh, we would study one what? अब syllabus देखिए क्या? Epistemology, epistemology and ethics. So these three things are there in your syllabus. Epistemology means theory of knowledge. Okay. In Indian philosophy, it is called Jnana Mimamsa. What do we call? Jnana Mimamsa. Metaphysics is theory of reality. Theory of reality is metaphysics, but here we should keep one distinction in mind. Ontology and metaphysics. Ontology means theory of reality as such. Metaphysics means the reality which is beyond your appearance. Meta means beyond. Physics means that which appears to you. The reality of this jug is not same as plastic because it appears to you. Behind the plastic there is a reality of which this is manifestation, okay. So the manifestation, so as philosophy most of the times tries to go beyond normal appearances, that is why theory of reality we study under the banner of metaphysics. Physics जो दिखाई दे रहा है उसके पीछे जाना है. Metaphysics, that which appears to you, behind that and deeper level of that, okay, beyond that, behind that, deeper than that appearance also. So sometimes in examination ontology can be used, sometimes in examination metaphysics can be used, so don't worry about that. In India we call it तत्व-मीमांसा. ये क्या था? मीमांसा. Ethics. Ethics means theory of values, theory of action. In Hindi it is called Niti Shastra. Okay, it is called Niti Shastra. So we study values, actions. These three are there in our syllabus as far as Charbagh is concerned. Okay, so we will start with this epistemology. Before we start epistemology of Charbagh, certain terms must be known to you. Okay. For example, ये क्या लिखा है? ज्ञान लिखा हुआ है, ये जान नहीं लिखा हुआ है. ये ज्ञान जिसको उसका जो सही उच्चारण है वो ज्ञान है, राइट? प्रमा, knowledge This is knowledge and this is valid knowledge. Every knowledge is valid. What do you think? Whatever you know, there is a possibility that is not valid one. अपनी बेस्ट फ्रेंड जो फीमेल हो उसका नाम बताइए. अगर नहीं यहाँ नहीं बता सकते कोई इमेजिनरी नाम बता दीजिए. उसकी भी आप बेस्ट फ्रेंड हैं. मेरी सपोज 12 बजे आप कॉल करते हो, उनका बर्थडे है एंड हर फोन इज बिजी. 12:30 शी कॉल्स यू बैक. हाँ फोन आया था तेरा, तो कहा कि हम तो आपको हम सोच रहे थे आई एम द बेस्ट फ्रेंड एंड यू वर नॉट. ठीक है, इट्स ओके, हैप्पी बर्थडे. और आपने अपने माइंड में ये मान लिया कि शी वॉज बिजी विद समवन एल्स, राइट? तो पक्का से आपने शक कर लिया कि शी इज एंगेज्ड विद समवन एल्स, शी इज नॉट गिविंग प्रायोरिटी टू मी. Okay, and you started developing certain differences in your mind. The reality was she was trying to call you back. वो आपको कॉल करने की कोशिश कर रही थी, आप उनको कॉल करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे. Okay, suppose hypothetically, first knowledge was your knowledge valid? जो आपने माइंड में बना लिया था? No. The second was valid, which was confirmed. Okay. So there are many things in our life which we think we know but actually we do not know. Okay. Moreover, it's not only subjective knowledge. Many a times objective, the so-called objective knowledge is also revisable, falsifiable. There was one philosopher, Karl Popper. He said every scientific knowledge is falsifiable. कोई भी विज्ञान का कोई सत्य शाश्वत सत्य नहीं हो सकता, बिकॉज साइंस इज प्रूविंग एवरीथिंग ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ प्रोबेबिलिटी, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ इंडक्टिव मैथड. डिडक्टिव मैथड नहीं होता, इंडक्टिव मैथड होता है. साइंटिस्ट विल मेक एन एक्सपेरिमेंट दैट 2 मॉलिक्यूल्स ऑफ हाइड्रोजन एंड 1 ऑफ ऑक्सीजन विल मेक वाटर. कितने एक्सपेरिमेंट कर लिए होंगे? 50, 100, 1000, 10,000, right? On that basis, they prove that every time we did, it is found that it was water. So, out of 100 cases, 100 first is also confirmed as water. But Hume raised objection by saying that sun was rising in the east yesterday. Sun is rising in the east today. It does not mean sun will rise in the east tomorrow as well. Okay. So scientific researches are also subject to falsifiable, though they are highly probable. No scientist would say that scientific knowledge is objectively true, 100% true. No. Okay. So there is a possibility that your knowledge might be revised. Okay. If I say there is no water on moon, ये knowledge सही है क्या? Is it true? पानी है वहां. But when did we come to know? Just few years back, 10-20 years back, that water is present in the form of ice which is there between 2 rocks. थोड़े से में रॉक फॉर्म में, रॉक के बीच में जो उसमें अवेलेबल है. ओके, दैट मच. सो द नॉलेज विच वी हैड दैट वाटर, दैट देयर वाज नो वाटर ऑन मून, नाउ इट इज कंफर्म्ड आफ्टर एम्पिरिकल एविडेंसेस that there is water actually. Okay, so every knowledge is not valid knowledge. There is a possibility that you are given simple knowledge, you start taking it as valid knowledge, but it is not valid. Okay, how many of you were taught since your childhood, जैसे आपको क्या बताया गया था चंद्रमा को देख के? बताइए, मामा हैं आपके? चंदा मामा बताए गए थे, या रिलीजियस फैमिली में है तो आपको बताया गया कि देखो सब भगवान ने बनाया है, जिसने सूरज चांद बनाया, जिसने क्या है तारों को चमकाया, ऐसे कुछ वो है ना. सो ड्यूरिंग आवर चाइल्डहुड वी यूज्ड टू थिंक अबाउट दैट, बट वाज दैट नॉलेज? That was not valid knowledge. So Indian philosophy is more concerned about valid knowledge. Valid knowledge is prama. So they are more concerned about prama, not about simple gyan. Every gyan not, only valid gyan, valid knowledge. Okay. So prama is, certain terms are there. Prama means valid knowledge. Okay, but how would you know that it is a prama? There must be, or how do you know knowledge is, this is knowledge? There must be means of knowledge. How do you know it? Okay, so the means of prama is called praman. Method of prama is called praman. And keep one thing in mind, these terms you have to write in this way only, not means of valid knowledge. You can write up to you, but if you want to get good marks, in Indian philosophy there are around 50 terms you have to write in Sanskrit, in Roman script if you are English medium, an English medium student. Okay, so praman means means of valid knowledge. Means of valid knowledge. Okay, praman means means of valid knowledge. How do you know that this is the truth? What is the color of this screen right now? Black. How did you know? Did I tell you? How did you know? Sense experience. So the knowledge which you got here is known by a medium which is called praman. Here in this case the praman is pratyaksh, praman is perception. Okay, so praman is that which gives you information about prama. Means of prama is praman. प्रमाण होता है, वैसे अंग्रेजी में प्रमाण लिखते हैं, प्रमाण. ओके, एंड प्रमा, प्रमा एंड प्रमाण. ठीक है, समझ गए? नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, इन योर लाइफ हाउ मेनी टाइप्स ऑफ प्रमाण्स आर देयर? हाउ मेनी टाइप्स आर देयर बाय विच यू नो सर्टेन थिंग्स? कितने तरीकों से आप चीजें जानते हैं? कई बताइए, क्या क्या तरीके से आपको नॉलेज मिलती है? सेंस एक्सपीरियंस, और बताइए. नहीं, पास्ट एक्सपीरियंस तो वो सेकेंडरी हो गया ना, मतलब पास्ट में किससे मिला था. एक चीज और बताते हैं, देयर इज नो टाइम विच इज कॉल्ड पास्ट. द सो कॉल्ड पास्ट इज पास्ट प्रेजेंट, द सो कॉल्ड फ्यूचर इज फ्यूचर प्रेजेंट, दैट्स ऑल. कोई टाइम पास्ट वाला होता ही नहीं है. आप जिसे पास्ट कहते हैं, कभी था क्या? जब जिसे आप पास्ट कहते हैं, जब वो प्रेजेंट था तभी आपके लिए टाइम था. ओके, सो इन दैट पास्ट प्रेजेंट हाउ डिड यू कम टू नो? आइदर बाय सेंस एक्सपीरियंस, और कैसे नॉलेज मिलती है? हाउ मेनी वेज आर देयर बाय विच यू नो थिंग्स? सॉरी, assuming, assumption. Okay, assumption, comparison, एग्जाम्पल दीजिए वर्बल टेस्टिमनी का. है? हाँ, that is also welcome. So verbal testimony, what else? नॉर्मल हिसाब से बताइए, फिलोसफी के हिसाब से मत बताइए हाउ मेनी प्रमाणास आर फाउंड, बाय हाउ मेनी वेज, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव रेड वेदास? जो वेदास का आंसर दे दिया आपने, हो सकता है देखा भी ना हो, राइट? verbal testimony, yes, in our daily life, because we, बताइए, who is the president of America? How did you know? न्यूज, रिलायबल न्यूज। अगर कोई सूरत छाप न्यूज चैनल होता और वो कहता कि आप अमेरिका जो आपको दिख रहा है ना, अमेरिका ही नहीं, अमेरिका से बड़ा एक और कंट्री है, तो आप विश्वास करते क्या? आप रिलायबल सोर्स पे ही विश्वास करते हैं। ओके, अगर फिजिक्स के टीचर ज्योग्राफी पढ़ाने लगे, आप विश्वास करेंगे क्या? नहीं करते, राइट? सो verbal testimony in our daily life, most of the knowledge comes through verbal testimony. हम अपना कितना जानते हैं 80% तो उधार से आता है। How did you know the language? By perception. Perception you learned, you copied. आपको कानों से सुनाई दिया, you copied, but actually so what else is the medium by which you get a knowledge? वो तो हो गया, बुक्स इसी में आ जाएंगे, वर्बल टेस्टिमनी में आ जाएंगे। इन्फरेंस लगाते हैं कि नहीं लगाते? बादल हो गए हों तो किस चीज का अनुमान लगाते हैं कि आग बरसने वाली है? नहीं, ओके। और व्हेन यू वेक अप इन द मॉर्निंग एंड यू सी ऑल स्ट्रीट्स आर फ्लडेड with water, the sky is clear, is there any inference you make? क्या inference मनाते? बारिश हुई होगी, ऐसा नहीं है किसी ने, सारे लोगों ने, पूरे करोल बाग ने एक एक बाल्टी डाला होगा और डंडे से सारे बादल हटाए होंगे। You make an inference of past rain, this is also inference, okay? So in daily life, we have many methods by which we get knowledge. In Indian philosophy, there are 6 pramanas. In total, there are 6 pramanas, which cover whatever you know. One is perception, or it is called pratyaksh, okay? Perception is that in which you get the knowledge out of the contact of sense organ with the object. How many sense organs do we have? 6, not 5. Indian philosophy में 6 होते हैं। हमने आपको पहले ही बता दिया, mind is not, you are not the mind. Mind is one of the sense organs. 5 external sense organs. Ears, whatever you listen by ears, that is, please write down, auditory perception, okay? Perception, 6 sense organs. Whatever you listen by ears, that is auditory perception. Eyes, visual perception. Ears, auditory. This visual. Skin, tactual perception, okay? Nose, which type of perception through nose? Olfactory perception. Olfactory perception. Tongue, gustatory perception. And 6, mind. Mind is mental perception, Okay, mind is mental perception. So, in Indian philosophy, there are 6 types of perceptions: auditory, visual, tactual, gustatory, olfactory, and mental perception. Okay. So, when these sense organs come in contact with particular object, then it is called perception. Directly, prati means pratyaksh means prati, aksh, इन दो से मिलके बनता है. Prati means in front of, aksh means sense organ. Prati means in front of sense organ. Okay, that knowledge which we get through direct experiences of our sense organs are called pratyaksh. Okay, so this is one praman. In general, अभी चारबाग पे उतर जाएंगे थोड़ा सा, जैसे यमुना एक्सप्रेस भी तक आप 120 की चलाते हो, फिर डायरेक्ट आगरा में नीचे जैसे उतरते हो ऐसा लगता है कि चल क्यों नहीं रही है गाड़ी. ओके, सो वी विल लैंड डेफिनेटली, बट ये प्रिपरेशन जरूरी है. Perception, okay, that which we get by our sense organs directly, that is called pratyaksh. Second means of knowledge is Anuman. Anuman means inference. Okay. Anuman means inference. Anuman means after some other knowledge. The knowledge which you get after some other knowledge is called Anuman. Suppose you enter in your room, as soon as you open your room and you perceive smoke you perceive, what type of knowledge you get? कि बारिश हो रही है, हाँ भाई धुआं देख के आग लगी कि नहीं, तो आग का नॉलेज आपको क्या चीज जानने के बाद हुआ? स्मोक जानने के बाद हुआ. आफ्टर सम नॉलेज वॉट एवर यू गेट, that is called Anuman. In Anuman, there are certain technical terms. Okay. Take example of this fire and smoke. When suppose this is a room, इससे क्या आ रहा है? ये धुआं आ रहा है, smoke. You perceive this smoke. This is your first experience in Anuman. Okay. This is called, technical term is hetu. Okay. Technical term is hetu. Where it is happening? कहां पर आप आग जैसे धुआं यहां देखें तो मॉम को कॉल करके मम्मा देखो जरा, दिल्ली में अगर धुआं देखें तो आप मम्मा को कॉल करेंगे कि मम्मा देखो अपने रूम में क्या आग लगी है क्या? क्यों? कि यहां धुआं दिख रहा है मुझे. Wherever there is a smoke, there must be fire. So the place where fire is, that is called paksh. 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 नाउ हाउ कैन यू मेक इन्फरेंस ऑफ फायर फ्रॉम स्मोक? क्यों लगा लेते हैं? अच्छा बताइए, धुएं से आपको आग का अनुमान क्यों हो जाता है? पास्ट में क्या क्या देखा आपने, बताइए। हाउ मेनी थिंग्स यू एक्सपीरियंस्ड इन पास्ट? बताइए क्या चीजें आपने पिछले एक्सपीरियंसेस में देखी? आप बताइए, इतनी टेंशन में क्यों? हाँ बताइए, धुएं से अग्नि का आप अनुमान लगाते। हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर फ्रॉम हिंदी मीडियम? ऑल इंग्लिश मीडियम स्टूडेंट्स आर देयर? समबडी दैट सम ऑफ अस आर हिंदी मीडियम स्टूडेंट, दैट इज वाई बीच बीच में मैं हिंदी बोलनी पड़ रही है, because I was told that all the students are of English medium, right? But even if anybody is Hindi medium, I'll manage, okay? So smoke is hetu and paksh is the place, and what is being inferred? इसमें inference किस चीज का हो रहा है? धुएं का? धुएं का inference हो रहा है? धुएं का inference हो रहा है? धुएं का तो perception हो रहा है, धुआं तो आप देख रहे हैं ना। ये फायर, इसलिए इसको कहते हैं साध्य। साध्य, इसको साधन भी बोलते हैं। ये साधन भी है, ये साध्य है, ये पक्ष, ठीक है। हाउ डू यू गेट? सो इट मीन्स विद द हेल्प ऑफ साध्य, साधन, यू मेक एन इन्फरेंस ऑफ साध्य। तो ये कैसे पॉसिबल होगा? How can you make an inference of a child is there who is newly born? If a child, suppose he did not, because nowadays it is very difficult to have because गैस पे खाना बनता है, ओके तो धुआं और आग वाला जरूरी नहीं है आपको शुरू के 2-4 साल में आपको देखने को भी मिल जाए कि जहां जहां धुआं देखा, अब धुआं देखा ही नहीं तो जहां जहां कैसे होगा, ओके। सो with the help of smoke you make an inference of sadhya, but how do you make an inference? In past you can make an inference only when how can you make inference? You can make inference, suppose for the first time you saw smoking when you were 5 years old. So you saw smoke, at the same time later on you came to know about fire. Wherever you saw smoke, there was fire. ये आपका पहला एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए। Wherever you saw smoke, there you found there was smoke somewhere here or there. Okay? ऐसा हो सकता है कि कमरा धुआं से आ रहा हो लेकिन आग कहीं और लगी हो और कहीं कोई छेद हो उससे होके आ जा रहा हो, there is a possibility. But wherever there was a smoke, there was fire. This is your experience. ठीक है? Second condition, if there was no fire, not only this condition, there must be second condition also which must be fulfilled. Second condition is that wherever fire was not there, smoke was not there. जहां आग नहीं थी वहां धुआं भी नहीं था. If no fire, then no smoke. ये लॉजिक का कुछ शब्द है, ठीक है ना. इफ नो फायर देन दिस इज कॉल्ड हॉर्स शो. इफ देर इज नो फायर देर इज नो स्मोक. ये दोनों एक्सपीरियंस आपके होने चाहिए, कंपल्सरली होना चाहिए, तभी ऐसा होगा. यू कैन मेक इन्फरेंस ऑफ स्मोक आउट ऑफ sorry, inference of fire out of smoke. For example, suppose for the first time you saw smoke and at the same time you found fire also. Next time when you see smoke, is there any guarantee that you would make inference of fire? एक एक्सपीरियंस से आप इंफरेंस नहीं कर पाएंगे. आउट ऑफ योर ग्रेट एक्सपीरियंसेस, न्यायिका सेज भूयो दर्शन, मतलब काफी एक्सपीरियंस आपको होना चाहिए, देन यू कैन मेक इन्फरेंस ऑफ फायर. ओके, if such inferences, such experiences are not there, then inference would be impossible. Okay, so wherever you saw smoke means, इसको हम अगर टेक्निकल लैंग्वेज में कहें, wherever there was हेतु there was sadhya, and where sadhya was not there, hetu was not there. This relationship is called Vyapti relationship. So it means hetu is inferring sadhya on the basis of Vyapti relationship. This Vyapti relationship means eternal relationship between हेतु एंड साध्य. ये ऐसा नहीं है जैसे सपोज एक जगह आप धुआं देख लो लेकिन वहां आग ना मिले, और दूसरी जगह धुआं देखें वहां आग मिल जाए, तीसरी जगह धुआं देखें आग मिल जाए, चौथी जगह धुआं देखें आग ना मिले. तो पांचवी बार जब धुआं देखेंगे तो क्या इन्फरेंस लगाएंगे आप इन्फरेंस नहीं लगा सकते, बिकॉज until and unless all 4 or 5 previous cases were cases of smoke with fire, you can make inference of fire. Otherwise it is not possible. Okay, otherwise it is not possible. So Vyapti relationship is eternal relationship between हेतु एंड साध्य. रिलेशनशिप हेतु और साधन कुछ भी बोल सकते हैं, हेतु इज प्रिफर्ड टर्म, जनरली ज्यादा लोग बोलते हैं. सो द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन हेतु एंड साध्य, इटर्नल रिलेशनशिप, ओके, बिटवीन स्मोक एंड फायर इज कॉल्ड व्याप्ति रिलेशनशिप. And on the basis of Vyapti, you can make an inference of fire. So you must have a knowledge of not only smoke, but at the same time you must have a knowledge of fire, the relationship between smoke and fire. Vyapti relationship आपको होना चाहिए. Okay? So this is called Anuman. Perception, we saw that whatever we perceive, whatever we experience out of our sense organs, they are called perception. 6 types of perception. What are those? Auditory, visual, tactual, olfactory, gustatory, mental. ठीक है? Auditory perception का example दीजिए, आप दीजिए. What is your name? Your name. What is your name? Gurdeep ji. Give an example of auditory perception. Ishika Goyal, I'll come to your question. Toyash Jain also, I'll come to your question. Yeah. ऑडिटरी परसेप्शन, आप जो मुझे सुन रहे हैं, दिस इज ऑडिटरी परसेप्शन. यू कैन नॉट परसीव इट बाई आईज. आप आंखें बंद, कान बंद करिए और फिर हम जो कह रहे हैं सुन के दिखाइए. यू कैन नॉट लिसन. ओके, दिस इज एग्जाम्पल ऑफ ऑडिटरी परसेप्शन. एग्जाम्पल ऑफ गस्टेटरी परसेप्शन बताइए, आपको क्या खाने में अच्छा लगता है? आप बताइए क्या नाम है आपका? मिस्टर, व्हाट इज योर नेम? लवेश, व्हाट डू यू लाइक मोस्ट इन छोले भटूरे? तो छोले का टेस्ट जो होता है ना, अरे क्या टेस्टी बने हैं, फोटो देख ही कह सकते हैं क्या? वो तो आपको खाना पड़ेगा। दिस इज एग्जाम्पल ऑफ गस्टेटरी परसेप्शन। गर्मी हो रही है, गर्मी लग रही है, ठंडी लग रही है? गर्मी, ठंड लग रही है। पंजाबी में बोलते हैं लाग रही है जी, सही बोला हमने, ठंड लाग रही है, लग रही है, अच्छा लाग नहीं होती। ओके, this is example of tactual perception. Your skin is receiving. Okay, who is feeling happy today before coming to this class? बताइए, you are feeling happy. This is example of mental perception. Okay, आज मन नहीं लग रहा, आज मन उदास है, लोग पूछे क्यों उदास है, पता नहीं आज मन नहीं लग रहा। Okay, so this is called mental perception. What is the color of the last box? Last box, middle वाला, क्रीम येलो और क्या कहेंगे, खाकी येलो, राइट? दिस इज विजुअल परसेप्शन, ठीक है? दिस इज कॉल्ड विजुअल परसेप्शन. सो वी हैव 6 टाइप्स ऑफ परसेप्शन एंड दिस इज अनुमान. अनुमान समझ आ गया? बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर, अभी तो न्याय में बहुत डिटेल में करेंगे, बट बेसिक. फॉर अनुमान, व्याप्ति रिलेशनशिप इज मस्ट. विदाउट व्याप्ति रिलेशनशिप, Anuman is not possible. Whosoever believes in Anuman will believe in Vyapti relationship. Yes. Object of mental perception is the status of your consciousness. Status of consciousness means our consciousness is not all pure consciousness. I told you that our consciousness is like electricity. But you experience electricity like heat electricity or air electricity, electricity in the form of air. You never experience electricity as such. So our consciousness is always immorational consciousness. Okay? So the object of mental perception is status of soul. How does it feel? I know. See, you know this is one thing, but you know that you know this is another thing. आपको पता है कि आपको नॉलेज है. How many states are there in India? नहीं, इनको पूछ रहे. How many states are there in India? 28. Do you know that there are 28 states? Yes. So the second is मेंटल परसेप्शन. ये जो आप अपनी कॉन्शियसनेस में चेक करते हो ना, व्हाट इज द स्टेटस ऑफ, व्हाट इज द, हाउ डू यू गेट कॉन्फिडेंस? बाय नॉलेज और नॉलेज ऑफ नॉलेज? यू विल गेट कॉन्फिडेंस बाय द नॉलेज दैट यू हैव अ नॉलेज. आप सब कुछ जानने के बाद भी अब कंफ्यूज हो जाते हो ना, वो नॉलेज की कमी से नहीं होते हो, बट नॉलेज ऑफ नॉलेज की कमी से होते हो, राइट? सो मेंटल परसेप्शन, द स्टेटस ऑफ your consciousness, whether you are happy or not, whether you are sad or not, whether you know or not. I know that I know. Okay, so the status of consciousness is the subject matter of mental perception. Okay, and this is Vyapti relationship. Is there any doubt in it? Hetu, Sadhya, Paksh. Paksh means where this is happening. अभी और भी डिटेल है न्याय विशेषिक में, विल डू. सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट अनुमान. एंड अदर प्रमाण इज देयर इन इंडियन फिलॉसफी इज verbal testimony. Okay, अच्छा, बिफोर Ishika Goyal, you had written one question. Can you please rewrite? Okay. Verbal testimony, this in Sanskrit is called शब्द प्रमाण। अब यहां पर कौन कहां लगेगा, ऊपर लगेगा नीचे लगेगा, ऊपर लगेगा क्योंकि वो श है, ठीक है ना। शब्द प्रमाण, शब्द प्रमाण मीन्स द वर्ड्स गिवन बाय रिलायबल पीपल, not by rumor mongers. What is the difference between reliable people and rumor mongers? Rumor mongers most of the times will give you negative information. अरे उसके बारे में पता है कि वो ऐसी थी, वो ऐसा है, उसका ये हो गया, उसका केस हो गया, उसका लफड़ा चल रहा है, ये है वो है, राइट। एंड आपको पता चल जाएगा कि वेदर द पर्सन इज ह्यूमर मॉन्गर और नॉट, क्योंकि वो जब कोई अच्छी बात कहेंगे उस पर विश्वास नहीं होगा। मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स ही और शी विल गिव यू नेगेटिव इंफॉर्मेशन, ये हुआ, ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये है। अचानक से कोई एक अच्छी बात भी कह दे ना, उस पर विश्वास नहीं होगा आपको। ह्यूमर मॉन्गर, द पर्सन हु इज द एक्सपर्ट इन दैट फील्ड, द पर्सन हु इज रिलायबल, his or her words are called testimony, verbal testimony. This verbal testimony can be written, can be verbal, can be eternal also, okay. So whatever books you read, whatever you learn from your teachers of respective fields, whatever moral guidance you get from your parents, whatever language you learn from society, everything comes from verbal testimony, okay. And most of the knowledge, whatever you have, whatever we have, you just examine what is the percentage of knowledge you have came from verbal testimony. आपने खुद कितनी experience की है? Language, how many of you created language for yourself? सभी की अपनी प्राइवेट लैंग्वेज है क्या? You learned language from society. कब को कब कहते हैं ये सोसाइटी ने आपको बताया, राइट। सिमिलरली फिलॉसफी टीचर विल टीच यू फिलॉसफी रिलायबिलिटी, ओके। फिजिक्स टीचर विल टीच यू फिजिक्स रिलायबिलिटी। पर्टिकुलर न्यूज़पेपर, reliable newspaper gives you information, shabd praman, okay. So shabd praman can be verbal or written, it can be direct or indirect. So everything which you get from reliable people is called shabd, okay. आप्त पुरुषः वचन शब्दः, एक संस्कृत में शब्द है आप्त पुरुष। पुरुष का मतलब मेल नहीं होता है, ध्यान रखिए। पुरुष मीन्स ह्यूमन बीइंग, पुरुष मीन्स कॉन्शियसनेस, यू आर। सो पुरुष लेटर ऑन वी स्टार्टेड यूजिंग इट फॉर मेल। पुरुष का मतलब होता है सोल। एनिमल भी पुरुष है बिकॉज उसमें भी सोल होती। आप तो पुरुष वचन शब्द। शब्द क्या है? शब्द इज द स्टेटमेंट्स और वर्ड्स ऑफ रिलायबल पीपल, ओके। रिलायबल पीपल, whosoever those reliable people, if they have written something, if they have spoken something, right, if any scientist says anything about cosmology, then you would take it reliable. But if Sachin Tendulkar says ki the world come to an end in 2047, right, or when Amitabh Bachchan says that Pepsi is good for health, डॉक्टर कहे तो समझ आता है, बट अवर हैबिट इज जिनके घर अमीरी का सजर लगता है उनका हर ऐब हुनर लगता है। वो जो कहें वो अगर कुछ भी आपको दे दे, जैसे अभी रजनीगंधा का आ रहा है ना, अजय देवगन, कौन कौन, शाहरुख खान, अब तो जितने स्टार हैं सब ले लिए। वो बिमल का, हाँ बिमल का है। ओके, सो क्योंकि वो कह रहे हैं इसलिए वो सही है, राइट, बट इट इज नॉट वर्बल टेस्टिमनी. This in philosophy we call it fallacy. Fallacy. This is called fallacy. From non-reliable people you start making inference, you start accepting them. But this is a psychological problem. जिनके घर अमीरी का सजर लगता, अमीरी पैसे की हो, फेम की हो, नॉलेज की हो, कैसी भी हो, अगर उन्होंने कह दिया तो वो उनका हर ऐब हुनर लगता है, वो कह रहे हैं तो हम भी करेंगे. ओके, so only reliable people, whatever reliable people are there in society, in your life, in your family, only reliable books can be studied for civil services also. Okay, या फिर आप जो इंडियन रेलवे के जनरल डब्बे में जो सामान्य ज्ञान की किताबें बिकती हैं, ऐसा कौन सा पक्षी है जो अपने पंजे में हाथी को उड़ा सकता है, वो पढ़ के आप आईएएस बन जाएंगे क्या? क्योंकि उसमें लिखा था. यू वुड टेक रिलायबल बुक्स, रिलायबल स्टडी मटेरियल. ओके, सो एवरी नॉलेज विच यू गेट फ्रॉम रिलायबल सोर्स इज कॉल्ड शब्द, शब्द प्रमाण. लैंग्वेज, नॉलेज, प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ लाइफ, प्रिंसिपल ऑफ लाइफ स्टाइल, ओके, एंड स्पेसिफिक नॉलेज. इफ यू वॉन्ट टू बिकम डॉक्टर, would you take admission in Bajiram and Ravi or in this Tathastu? No. Why? Why would you not take? Because yes, कोई बन जाता है तो मतलब सर्वज्ञानी तो हो ही जाता होगा. बताइए, would you take admission in any civil services institute? No. But if you want to become an IAS officer, you have to take admission in such institutes or NGOs. Okay? Because you think they are reliable people. So knowledge through words come from reliable source. This is called शब्द, शब्द प्रमाण. ठीक है, समझ गए? अब एक दो क्वेश्चंस के आंसर दे दें. Ishika Goyal has about scientific experiments. When I said that scientific knowledge is also probable, science proves everything with experiment and evidence which are practical. True. Which are practical, but how many evidences can be given by science? 1, 2, 3 in laboratory. ऐसा थोड़ी रोज सुबह उठ के हाइड्रोजन ऑक्सीजन मिला रहे हैं उसके बाद पानी बांटा जाएगा सभी को. Some experiences 5, 10, 20, that's all. Okay, so actually it does not mean we should not rely on scientific knowledge, but technically speaking scientific knowledge is also probable, because many things which were considered scientific are not considered scientific now. Okay, so earliest science said that female came out of the ribs of male members. अब कौन से साइंस से आप ये समझेंगे? I tell you that earlier science was modified in terms of religion. रिलीजन के खिलाफ अगर साइंस ने कुछ कहा ना तो सूली पे लटका देते थे. ओके, बट नाउ कैन यू एक्सेप्ट इट? नो. बट टुमारो, सी, आई गिव यू वन सिंपल एग्जांपल. न्यूटोनियन फिजिक्स सेज दिस फैन इज डेड, इट्स नॉट हैविंग कॉन्शियसनेस. क्वांटम फिजिक्स सेज नो, इट इज नॉट द केस. न्यूटोनियन फिजिक्स सेज माइंड एंड बॉडी आर डिफरेंट, माइंड and matter are different. Quantum physics says difference is only of degrees. Even this fan which has many electrons in nucleus, when any you are perceiving, हम इस पे चर्चा कर रहे हैं ना अभी, इसके फैन के ऊपर, electrons which are revolving around nucleus in every the particular atom, they become shy. भाई देखो मत, हमारे ऊपर चर्चा मत करिए प्लीज. दिस इज कॉल्ड ऑब्जर्वेशन इफेक्ट इन क्वांटम फिजिक्स. आप सोचिए, बिफोर क्वांटम फिजिक्स कैन साइंस or could it think about such observation? No. Now it is revised. So modern science says everything has come out of non-dual energy. Tomorrow there is no guarantee that whatever Advait has said, everything came out of consciousness. There is a high probability that science would reach to that conclusion also. The energy is same as consciousness. There is a possibility that the futuristic science will say the same thing. Okay, so on the one hand science would say ग्रीन टी पीना चाहिए, फिर आगे कहेंगे ग्रीन टी में जो पेपर होता है ना वो आपके लिए बहुत खतरनाक है। पहले कहेंगे कि जो इंडिया में शुगर लेवल जो बढ़ रहा है ये मिठाई उठाई ज्यादा खाते हैं। अब मॉडर्न रिसर्च आ रही है मिठाई से शुगर नहीं बढ़ता, वो तो एडिशनल है, उसके रीजन दूसरे होते हैं। मिठाई खाने से कभी शुगर नहीं बढ़ता, लेकिन शुगर बढ़ जाए फिर मिठाई खाओ तो प्रॉब्लम। ओके, अदरवाइज शुगर इज नॉट द रीजन ऑफ शुगर, दैट शुगर अबाउट विच यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट। ओके, सो reliable people. So I was saying that science is also probable, in the highly probable but not certain. Who decides who is reliable and who is not? Your experience decides who is reliable or who is not. At the same type, in inference, that 2 experiment, 3 experiment, 5 experiments you made and you reach to the conclusion this person is reliable. 100% certainty is not possible, neither in inference nor in perception nor in this or that. Okay, so this is called Shabd Praman. ठीक है, now come back to एक उपमान और कर लो, because they have used the term. This is specific pramana which is called upman in Indian philosophy. Suppose you have never seen a computer monitor. Okay, suppose you are in Delhi and you are coming from rural area in Rajasthan. Your family member asks you, भैया how does it look? How is computer? Computer लगता कैसे है? Monitor लगता कैसे है? There is no computer in your village in Sri Ganganagar or Jaisalmer. How would you make them understand कि computer looks like what? घर में टीवी है, घर में फ्रिज है, घर में बकरी है, घर में गाय है, घर में दादाजी हैं, घर में रोटी सब्जी है, खेत हैं, खलिहान है, भैंस है, गाय है. If he or she asks you, Didi, how does computer look like? What would be your answer? It looks like cow. It looks like television. आप ये कहोगे कि बेटा ये जो है ना ये टेलीविजन की जैसी दिखती है. आपने बता के छोड़ दिया, उन्हें पता है दीदी हमारी एमसीए है, दिल्ली में जॉब कर दी है. एमसीए मीन्स मास्टर इन कंप्यूटर एप्लीकेशन. कंप्यूटर एप्लीकेशन यही पूरा होता ना. हाँ, ओके. सो दैट चाइल्ड कम्स टू दिल्ली आफ्टर सम टाइम्स और आपके रूम पे करोल बाग में आता है, ओका दीदी हम घूमने जा रहे हैं. एंड दैट चाइल्ड मतलब 10, 12, 15 years old guy, he comes out and he come across a particular computer shop. He finds there are certain objects which are not TV but they look like TV. Okay? तो उसको क्या याद आएगा बताओ? नहीं, कंप्यूटर कैसे याद आएगा? पहले तो दीदी के शब्द याद आएंगे कि मेरी दीदी ने कहा था कि कंप्यूटर लुक्स लाइक अ टीवी. This is not a TV but this looks like a TV, so this must be computer. Is it coming from perception? Is this knowledge coming from perception? No, perception से केवल नहीं काम चलता. Is it coming from inference? नहीं, it is not coming from inference. Is it coming from verbal testimony? Verbal testimony है, but directly it is not coming from verbal testimony because the time when he perceives that monitor, दीदी is not there. दीदी यूपीएससी की कोचिंग लेने गई हैं, वो तो ऐसे ही निकल गया था. Okay, so he would remember the words of his sister And then he would correlate कि my Didi, who is a master in computer application, she is a master in that field, she told me that computer looks like a TV, this object looks like a TV, this must be computer. This knowledge cannot be known by perception nor by, so any new object with the comparison of familiar object told earlier is called Upman. Okay, that knowledge is called Upman knowledge. ठीक है? No, it is not assumption. हम लोग चर्चा करेंगे. It is not assumption. Assumption is when you bring new fact out of your mind. यहाँ कुछ भी नया नहीं लेके आए, अपने माइंड से कुछ नहीं लाए. He remembers the words of his sister, that my sister told me that computer looks like television, and he remembers those words. So assumption is when you bring a new fact to bridge the gap. Here new fact is not being taken by that child, rather he is remembering the words of Didi, to whom he thinks is reliable. Okay, so this is called Upman. Now we come back to Carvaka. See, some people have tried to make translate it as comparison. In some of the Indian philosophy books you would find comparison, but actually it is not comparison. Comparison is make a comparison between this mobile and iPhone. ये local mobile है, iPhone से comparison करिए, ये comparison हो सकता है. You can say कि अक्ल बड़ी है, बताइए. कंपैरिजन हमेशा सिमिलर चीजों का हो सकता है. ये दिस अक्ल बड़ी या भैंस नहीं है, ये बहस है. ठीक है, कभी कंपैरिजन उल्टी. अच्छा बताओ, आपको भिंडी अच्छी लगती है या इंडिगो की फ्लाइट? डिसिमिलर चीजों का कंपैरिजन नहीं हो सकता. ओके, कोई आपसे पूछे कि बच्चे से पूछो, बेटा बताओ चॉकलेट खाओगे या दादाजी के पास घूमने जाओगे? देयर इज नो कंपैरिजन. कंपैरिजन इज आपको भिंडी की सब्जी अच्छी लगती है मटर पनीर की, सिमिलर चीजों का. सो ये जो स्टेटमेंट है ये अक्ल बड़ी या बहस, ब और हा मिलके भा हो गया और भा का मिलकर भ्रंश हो गया भैंस. अक्ल बड़ी या भैंस नहीं हो सकता. भैंस से ज्यादा अक्लमंद कौन है? आप सोचिए, इतनी शांत, आप मेडिटेशन करके काम एंड काइंड हो गए. किसी भैंस को आपने वायलेंट देखा? खाना खाती, शांत रहती. ओके, अक्ल बड़ी या भैंस, दैट the thing which you cannot get by your intelligence, you can get it by arguments, by discussion. इसलिए कंपैरिजन किया गया. So comparison will be always in two similar things and two known things. Here one thing is very new thing, because here particular term is involved. The computer looks like, for the first time he is perceiving. So this should not be called comparison. So generally, like in advanced Indian philosophy, Upman is not translated as comparison, though some philosophers have translated it as comparison. ठीक है, एक चीज तो लेके जा रहे हैं कि अक्ल बड़ी भैंस नहीं होता, अक्ल बड़ी या बहस. ओके, see, when the description is not of any new thing. See, for example, when did you come to know about elephant? बताइए. I said, when did you come to know about elephant in the very first class? इंडिया में E for क्या होता है? E for ये नहीं होता है कि इस्टोनिया कह दो, E for elephant ही होता है, right? And then you learn the picture, the particular picture is there. After few years, the elephant comes to your town or you go to any circus, you say, oh, this is. But by the time you saw that elephant, the knowledge was already given to you. Though that was not a proper knowledge, but the knowledge was given. Okay. In Upman, basically new thing is being given to you on the basis of known thing. If anybody says elephant is like Ganesh ji की पूजा करते हो, elephant is like Ganesh ji, and elephant के बारे में कोई ना बताए, and you go to circus and you find that animal is there, तब वो उपमान होगा for the first time. Okay, but E for elephant, E for elephant, E for elephant, you go to circus, that is not upman, that is more verbal testimony, more perception. Okay, at that particular moment, see, in perceiving computer, actually you are perceiving the computer, but the knowledge is not coming out of perception. Knowledge is coming by remembering the words of sister who is the master in that field. Okay. Can we say that it is a mixture of auditory and visual perception? Which one? Upman? Mr. Toyash Jain. No, it's mixture of visual, it's a mixture of verbal testimony, language, this looks like this, computer is like, because not only he came to know about the computer as object, but computer as word also for the first time. Okay. So now we come back to Charvak. Similarity between the two terms on the basis of denotation given by reliable person. अभी करने की जरूरत नहीं, जहां जहां जरूरत होगी ना, जब हम when we come to न्याय philosophy, we will. अभी तो बस इतना आप जान लीजिए, वो इसलिए जान लीजिए बिकॉज चारवाक इनका यूज करेंगे. How many pramanas are there? This is a basic question accepted by Indian philosophers. By how many ways you can have a knowledge? In total, in Indian philosophy, there are 6 pramanas. 4 तो ये हो गए, एक पांचवा है अर्थापत्ति, जिसको आप assumption कह सकते हो, right? जैसे कोई कहे कि हमने 20 दिन से रोटी नहीं खाई है, जैसे ये कहें 20 दिन से रोटी नहीं खाई है, इतने पतले भी नहीं है, तो इसका मतलब है या तो ये रात में खाते होंगे या फिर पूड़ी सब्जी खाते होंगे. भाई ये यही तो कह रहे हैं ना, रोटी नहीं खाई है, छोले भटूरे खाते होंगे ये, राइट? सो व्हेन टू ब्रिज, बिकॉज if anybody is getting fat day by day and he says he did not eat during day, it means he must be eating in the night, otherwise भाई साहब ये दिन दूनी रात चौगने कैसे जाते, right? So it means assumption, अर्थापत्ति, simple. And second is, and sixth is अनुपलब्धि. ये उपलब्ध है. अब आंख बंद करिए 1 सेकंड के लिए. अब बताइए इस टेबल पे क्या चीज नहीं है? ग्लास नहीं. लेकिन इस टेबल पे तो डायनासोर भी नहीं है, इस टेबल पे बहुत चीजें नहीं, आप भी नहीं हो. बट व्हाई डोंट यू से देयर इज अ नॉन अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ ग्लास ओनली? बिकॉज पहले था, उसकी अनुपलब्धि हो गई. हाउ डिड यू नो? कैन यू नो इट बाय सेंस ऑर्गन? सेंस ऑर्गन के लिए तो कांटेक्ट होना जरूरी है ना. अब कांटेक्ट, एब्सेंस का कांटेक्ट कैसे होगा? दो नयायिका says special type of perception is there, but it cannot be known only by, for example, you come to this, suppose you people are sitting, I kept this glass, you go out and I'll take this glass and some new people came and can they say, अरे glass कहां गया? वो तो आप ही कह सकते हैं ना. So perception cannot be. So knowledge of non-existence is a separate praman. According to Charvak, only perception is the praman. According to Buddhism, perception and inference. According to Samkhya Yoga, perception, inference, verbal testimony. According to Nyaya, four pramanas: Pratyaksh, Anuman, Upman and verbal testimony. According to Mimamsakas, there are two schools in Mimamsakas, Prabhakar and Kumaril. According to Prabhakar, there are five pramanas. He does not believe in Anupalabdhi. According to Kumaril and Vedantins, all schools of Vedanta, there are six pramanas. Today we will discuss, or rather just glimpse of, according to Charvak, only perception is the true pramanas. Only perception is Pratyaksha, is the only praman. Okay? Pratyaksh is only praman. We should rely on only that which can be experienced by our sense organ. That which you perceive by eyes, that which you perceive by ears, that which you perceive by skin, that which you perceive by different sense organs, you should rely on that only. Because, what is the reason they give? Because there is a certainty only in the perception. According to Charvak, Charvak says only perception can give you certain knowledge. Only perception, because there is a direct awareness. अपनी जैसे those who believe in God, there are some people who say तुमने अपनी आंखों से देखा है? नहीं देखा तो ऐसे ही विश्वास करे जा रहे हो. भगवान किसी ने देखा है अपनी आंखों से? नहीं देखा है तो क्यों विश्वास किए जा रहे हो? There are some people who would say. In that terminology, Charvak is saying that whatever you see by your eyes, by your ears, whatever you perceive by eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, mind, only that is reliable. ऐसे कैसे विश्वास किसी और चीज पे कर सकते हैं? So whatever you see, only that is reliable. Whatever, because there is a certainty in perception only. Pratyaksh is the only praman according to Charvak. 6 type of perception you have to write. Okay. And Charvaks denied the possibility of inference, upman and verbal testimony as a separate praman. They are not praman because there is no certainty in them. Why is there no certainty? Why is it so? Inference cannot be accepted as praman. Why is it so? Shabd cannot be taken as praman. We will discuss in next class. Okay? If you have any questions. So basically we reached to this stage in which we declared that according to Charvak, perception is the only praman. Whatever you know by your sense organs, any of the 6 sense organs, Vahya Pratyaksh or Antah Pratyaksh. Okay? We will discuss in next class. So if you have any question, Charvak not an individual. Yes, Charvak was not any individual. Charvak is a group name of those philosophers who believe in materialistic lifestyle, who believe in this life only, who believe in that यथा जीवित सुखम जीवित ऋणम कृत्वा घृतम पीवित, जब तक जिए सुख से जिए और चाहे ऋण लेके, देख रहे हो, घी पीना पड़े, इतने बुरे भी नहीं थे, कुछ और पीने का भी बोल सकते थे आज. ओके, सो ऋणम कृत्वा घृतम पीवित, वी विल डिस्कस दैट इन नेक्स्ट डिस्कशन. ओके, if any question you can ask.